Compass FM and the widest music variety for North Canterbury on the Mega Music Breakfast. It is Moonlight Shadow, Mike Oldfield. Welcoming back to the studio Dr. Robbie Williams from MenzMedical, south of the river there, corner of Colombo and Bearley. Thanks for popping in again, Robbie. And today we're not so much talking about Blue September, which we have talked about a couple of times this month. We might touch on that, at the end of this. But we're talking about, in particular, Mental Health Awareness Week for New Zealand and North Canterbury in particular. And let's have a bit of a chat about men and men's issues with mental health. It's actually quite comprehensive, isn't it?
Yeah, this whole idea of talking about mental health, of course, was due to the Mental Health Awareness Week, which started on the 21st, lasts for a week, and is promoted by the Mental Health Foundation. Interesting about men, because they do tend to be quite high in the statistics for suicide. My trainee practice nurse was very kind and provided me with some statistics yesterday. Men are 2.7 times more likely to successfully commit suicide than women, and men are 3.5 times more likely to attempt committing suicide than women, so that's an interesting one. Also, about 1 in 8 men are diagnosed with some sort of mental health disorder. So, I think men figure quite highly on those mental health statistics. And also, Steph was alluding to the thought that maybe men are a little bit reluctant to discuss their feings,
Is that actually something that you come across at MenzMedical?
Definitely, yeah. And the interesting thing, I was talking to our resident counsellor, Campbell Logan, who works in our clinic, and Campbell Langford, I should say, and he was saying that men are generally ideas people, and they tend to not talk so much about feelings, but more about ideas. And he said a lot of men translate their mental health problems into physical stuff, like feeling tired, or feeling anxious, or lack of motivation, or things like that. So it's quite interesting. You have to be aware of the possibility when men come in and say, "Look, I'm not sleeping very well," that in fact they are underlying, do have an underlying depression. Something
is there, and just dig a wee bit deeper.
Yeah.
If men have a wee bit uncomfortable talking to a GP, because we all know that once you hook into a decent doctor, you tend to hang around that doctor for quite some time, and a relationship does build, and sometimes it can be a wee bit difficult talking to your doctor, even though that's just totally the wrong way it should be. Is there ways that men can actually communicate with others, not so much with their GP?
Yeah, I think it's important that they talk to people that they feel can support them. I mean, the obvious thing is your spouse, or siblings or whatever, but people that you can trust, because that way you feel more comfortable about talking about things that might embarrass you or whatever, But women often have emotional support people around them, friends that they can talk to on the phone about stuff, and that doesn't seem to be so much the case with men. They tend to have shutters up a bit. They're too busy working and providing and protecting and all the rest of it, and the feeling that they shouldn't display their emotions because it's not the sort of thing that men do. But I guess it's changing a bit now.
It's the harden up, bro, attitude changing?
I think it is. I mean, going back 20 or 30 years, it was quite endemic, wasn't it? You were supposed to be tough and not talk about stuff like that because it was sissy, but I think men are becoming a bit more opened up now about stuff.
Yeah. Women do tend to share lots of things like, I don't know, emotions, thoughts, that sort of thing, clothes, shoes, handbags. They're used to doing that.
The men share fishing rods.
There you go. And trailers. It's just the way that it is. How do we get men to open up?
I think it's important to give them a comfortable environment where they can feel relaxed and feel they've got plenty of time to talk about stuff, And as I say, we do have a resident counsellor who specialises in mental health stuff, so and he's very good, Campbell Langford. He's very happy to spend a long time with men, which is important.
Yep.
I think one of the problems that GPs have is that most of their consultations are only 15 minutes, and you can only really touch very briefly on mental health stuff in 15 minutes, especially with a new patient, like somebody somebody comes in
Yep.
that you've never seen before, you've got to find out something about them. You know, where do they come from? What do they do? And what's their social life and everything? You can't do that in 15 minutes. So I think it's important, if you have a mental health issue, that you actually be prepared to spend a good half hour over it and really get to the nitty gritty and find out what it's all about.
Don't rush. One thought will lead to another, and half an hour is actually a really, really good time. Dr. Robbie Williams, MenzMedical. Very briefly on Blue September. From your perspective, is that going well? Are men getting the idea?
I don't know. We've had a few people come and go asking for prostate checks. Must admit, one or two of them are regulars that keep coming every year. But I hope it has raised a bit of awareness, because it's a very common cancer and it's one that's easy to manage. You know, I've got a chap who we've well, I shouldn't say we, but between us and the urologist and the oncologist, we've managed his prostate cancer now for about 15 years. You know, and he's still going strong.
Wow, brilliant.
Yeah, I noticed the other day he had a PSA blood test of 55, you know, which is hugely high. But
Yes.
the main thing is it can be managed,
Yeah.
and you know, he's trucking along fine.
Absolutely. Very, very final question, Dr. Robbie. With the likes of cancer or heart issues or other, you know, relatively serious physical conditions, does that affect men in a mental health way more so than maybe women?
Well, that's a good point, because I mean, men are affected primarily from a physical issue with work, aren't they?
Yes.
I mean, I'm not saying, you know, like for women, they have jobs, obviously, but in a family situation, they're probably looking after their family quite a bit of time, and men are supposed to be the primary providers, or at least they were. I suppose that's changing a bit now.
It is changing now, yeah.
You know, so if they have an issue with finances and paying the bills and the mortgages, that can weigh very heavily on people.
Yeah.
And now, of course, we've got this COVID thing. So, you know, a lot of men who were trucking along fine with their work and their business, you know, in certain sectors are now suffering quite badly. So I think that's a big impact, really, mental health.
The phone number for MenzMedical in Christchurch is 9818181. It's a very easy number to remember. The first time you said it, 3-4 weeks ago, I just clicked in 9818181 or 1737 if you want to have a chat to someone, a trained psychologist or a counsellor, should I say. 1737. You can text that number as well, and someone will get back in contact with you. Thanks so much, Dr. Robbie Williams, for coming
Thank
in
you,
to Compass
Kerry.
FM.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. We'll keep in contact with you.
Yeah, see you next time.
No worries. 19 past 8.